myself a job at a golf course, so I'm officially on the way to retirement.
Which golf course?
Brackenville.
Okay.
I'm gonna start collecting in May
Okay.
on, Social Security, so
Very good.
I might as well act like I'm an old guy. I just happen to be the same age as some old people.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, I parked it inside, you know. How you been?
I just got my knee replaced, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not jumping off of chandeliers and doing anything, huh?
Not climbing any mountains.
Oh, darn it. Anyway. Anywhere you can.
I know. I just don't know where. I usually stay in the front row.
It's been about 2 months since I've been up at a council meeting, so it's about time I showed up again, you know.
Uh-huh.
So how do you like these people speeding up and down green or Thames?
Oh, I can't wait for them to shut that road again.
Oh, hey, all over the place.
Yeah.
Me neither, because I was doing Bobby's house a couple doors down from you, and this guy almost hit me when I was on my bicycle. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're doing like 80 or 90 down
You
Thames.
know what?
Yes.
Dog's still there. If dog gets hit, I won't be able to handle it.
No, he's a big dog. I can't wait for them to finish ring cross, but shut that off again.
So, you know what, I don't, Maple Heights roads are so bad. I go down as far as south, turn on the floor.
Like,
Oh, really?
Turn on Jackson and come back out to Green Hawk.
I don't know, I don't go down there all the
I don't
time.
get it.
Well, if I knew, oh, you don't have to.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm right on Cougar. Come on now. Yes.
Yeah, the Maple Heights roads are horrible. Poking the dog, or what are they doing?
There he is.
Oh, you're right up front.
Two seats.
Yes, I can still beat you back home on my bicycle sometimes, you know? I said I can still beat you back home on my bicycle because once I'm on, I can go. I retired last year.
Okay.
I was 70 this year, so I retired last year. I'm done working. And they do part-time, 2 days a week. It's about time, don't you think?
Oh.
They should be here. They're talking.
How are you coming along with your bending and walking and stuff? I had some sort of issue Saturday, Sunday where I was in excruciating pain and I was thinking, because I started massaging it and it was clicking. It was clicking. And once it started clicking, that pain was gone and going right.
Maybe there was air in it or something.
How many months are you around? I'm on 2 months yesterday. Today, my turn.
There she is.
Right here? Yes. Say that again. Hi, how are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris. Chris.
Yeah. Oh. How do you? You want to make eye contact?
No.
Hey, what up, young lady? How you doing?
Hey, John.
We have the better One day at a time. That's it. Get up. Above ground, yes.
You staying up front? She still wants to be front and center.
There you go.
She's close to the door for a kiddo.
Good evening, and welcome to the March 3rd, 2025 meeting of Bedford City Council. If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, clerk, call the roll, please.
Spinks?
Here.
Selby?
Here.
Fluharty?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Asbury?
Here.
Longino?
Here. Here. Council, you have the minutes of the work session of February 18th, 2025. Any corrections to those?
I had corrections, I submitted them to the clerk.
Seeing none, can I have a motion for acceptance by Longino, second by Asbury. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
And you have the minutes of the regular meeting of February 18th, 2025. Any corrections to those?
I submitted my corrections to the clerk.
Yeah, we know. Good. Call the roll, please. Or wait, I need a motion. By Spinks, second by Salvi. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-25.
Is an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement with Masetta Holdings LLC for the purchase of real property located at 15 North Park in Bedford and declaring an emergency.
It's our wish to put that on the second reading. Can I have a motion for such? By Fluharty, second by Spinks. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Selby?
No.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
No.
Longino?
Yes.
Reports, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. A few items to share today. Just a friendly reminder that we're going to be having a town hall meeting on March 18th at 6:30 at Ellenwood. That'll be to discuss the current status of the former Bedford Hospital site at 44 Blaine. We'll provide a brief update kind of how we got to where we're at today. Some next steps that we're working through. Obviously, we want to get input and feedback from the public as far as future uses of that site, future uses of the buildings, and share any updates that may come to light between now and then. So again, that is on the 18th at 6:30. We also have scheduled our, City Council has scheduled the upcoming ward meetings for this year to talk about obviously some large citywide updates, but also some specific updates that might pertain to each of your individual wards. On March 31st is going to be wards 1 and 6. On April 14th is wards 3 and 4. And on April 28th, it's wards 2 and 5. I just wanted to share a couple things that are in the process. Some may have already received it. Parks and Recreation did send out, or if you didn't get it, you will be getting it, their spring and summer program guide with all of the activities that they've been working to schedule and plan. There's a lot in there, and they continue to do a great job down at the Parks and Recreation Department. So keep an eye out for that. There's a lot of good programs. And if you didn't get it, there's a couple out front there. We've also updated the Good Neighbor Guide with current updates to any zoning that may pertain. That's citywide. It touches on things, just the neighborly. Take care of your yard. When to bring your cans in. When can you park on the street, not park on the street. All of those helpful tips are in here, as well as helpful contact information, contact numbers for departments, for administration, city council, So keep an eye out for that document, that also went out. I wanted to touch on the Union Street Bridge project. The staff participated in a kind of a pre-construction meeting for Phase 1 last week. Phase 1 is scheduled to start on April 1st, and that will run through most likely the middle of July. That is primarily to construct a utility bridge next to the bridge. For those of you that don't know, all of the public utilities are in that roadway. And the bridge can't just come down, those utilities need to be redirected. So there's gonna be a temporary utility bridge constructed next to the actual bridge. That's gonna be going on this year. During that time, the roadway will remain open. Once that phase of the project is done, we'll have a follow-up meeting to discuss Phase 2. And Phase 2 will be the deconstruction and reconstruction of a new bridge. Unfortunately, the roadway will be closed at that time. We don't have a start date for Phase 2, but the project needs to be completed by June of 2027. So there's a good chance that that roadway will be closed more than a year during Phase 2. And we'll share that information once it's available. Also want to just touch on two programs that also are coming out of the Parks and Recreation Department. The first one is the CARE program. There's some information up here, and it's out on our social media as well. And this is a partnership that we're involved with. There's a number of other communities involved as well. And the goal of the CARE program is to help seniors 60 and over stay in their homes. And it's a volunteer-geared program for routine projects or tasks across your property. And there's some brief description there. We appreciate City Council's support in joining this program. I think it'll be very beneficial to a number of members of the community. And I also want to just touch on that our Parks and Recreation Department, as well as some staff at City Hall, work to coordinate free tax assistance for residents. Obviously, there's a number of different requirements: age, income, what type of filings you do need to file, but that will be provided down at the Ellenwood Center. You would need to sign up and watch for our social media as well as the city's website. That information will be rolled out tomorrow. So just a couple of timely updates in regards to that. With that, end of report.
Thank you. Mr. Law Director.
Thank you, Mayor. No report tonight.
Adam, Finance Director.
Thank you, Mayor. No report tonight as well.
Okay. Oh. Councilwoman Spinks.
I apologize, I'm very hoarse, a little bit under the weather tonight, so no report. Mr. Fluharty will be talking about the big event that's coming up at the Historical Society. Sorry about that, a little under the weather. Any report?
Thank you. Mr. Selby.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Resident visits and calls responded to several resident concerns since the last council meeting, ranging from damaged mailbox caused by street cleared ice and snow to neighborhood nuisance issues. Thank you to Debbie, Mike, and other on staff for following up on these resident concerns. I also visited property owners whose homes or commercial property are immediately adjacent to the proposed J Honda development parcel located at the intersection of Rockside and Bartlett Roads in Ward 2. I wanted the owners to be aware of the Planning Commission meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. so they had an opportunity to ask questions about the planned car dealership that will abut their property lines. I appreciate the project architect Ronald Klutchen's phone call to make me aware that he will attend Tuesday's Planning Commission meeting. February's winter weather. The recent weather has been tough on our city workers, equipment, and infrastructure. Residents on McKinley, Avery, and Columbus Road in the past several weeks have seen city workers working in frigid weather repairing water line breaks. Like many cities in the area, Bedford salt reserves were also depleted and for a period of time, there was less salt to drop on side streets till the city was able to obtain more salt. Mike, will our current salt reserves be sufficient to get us through this winter?
Is it gonna snow anymore? I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Currently, we did work with and communicate with ODOT end of last week. We do have an additional 600 tons coming to the city. We are paying more than the originally bid price, which was approximately $48 a ton. We were able to work an agreement out with ODOT. It's north of 60, so it's costing more, but we need it.
Thank you. Board of Revision Formal Tax Complaint Workshops. There are 2 remaining county tax workshops, one on May 5th at the Parma Powers Library and March 19th at the Strongsville Library. Amplified Dispensary, 22803 Rockside Road. As I mentioned at the February 3rd council meeting, Amplify is a state licensed cannabis marijuana dispensary business located at 22803 Rockside Road, Ward 2. If I understood City Manager Malice correctly, this facility is licensed for both medicinal and recreational sales. After I spoke about a pediatric journal study about young children being hospitalized from finding and eating cannabis drugs-laced products, believing it was candy, Channel 8 TV aired a similar news story recently about the deceptive packaging. I don't know if Amplify sells some of these narcotic products packaged to look like candy. I have found evidence of these products at Taft Park, including a receipt from Amplify in the parking lot. Last week I found this unopened marijuana package that first looked like a child's organic fruit juice pouch. On closer look, the otherwise amusing cartoon-friendly looking banana on the package was actually smoking a joint and was tattooed with the phrase, "Thug Life." This is not a symptom of a community on the rise, but a community that is too accepting of low standards and a precursor of a community in decline. The use of marijuana or cannabis in a public place such as park, parking lot, public street, or sidewalk is illegal. The place you can legally use marijuana or cannabis is your private property. Concerns about the unintended consequences of legalizing recreational use of marijuana, cannabis in Ohio. The Ohio Senate last week passed Senate Bill 56, which addresses some of the unintended consequences. For example, it gives the Division of Cannabis Control additional power to regulate ads and packaging that attract the interest or target market children. According to the CDC, cannabis risk factors include physical dependency, risk of brain health, heart health, lung health, mental health, and possible poisoning. A case study, 813 High Street. After serving on council for the past year and talking with quite a few residents about issues going on in the city, one too common issue is the amount of time it takes to resolve obvious property maintenance issues. It seems to me that we need to find a way to shorten the time that obvious violations are taken care of before good residents move away out of frustration. When a resident must live for years with a neighbor's nuisances in violation of one or more ordinances, the involved city staff need to use the experience as a case study to figure out what was done right, what could have been done better, what are the specific roadblocks preventing faster resolution, and identify the best possible solutions to quickly return the complaining residents' quality of life and enjoyment of their property. Finding better solutions is a win for the residents and our talented city staff. Bay Market property, 607 Northfield Road. Mike, today I checked the progress on the cleanup of the interior and exterior of the Bay Market property. I found no improvement on the exterior parking lot, and it is arguable that it is in worse condition than last summer. Ongoing deficiencies on the exterior of the building, such as graffiti, remain. The seemingly only improvement was the repair of the one large window pane, which the which the old large broken window pane is probably the same one, now a public hazard as it was dumped on the ground in the parking lot. With the ongoing visual evidence of continued non-compliance with city ordinances to the detriment of Ward 2 residents, how can anyone assert that the owners of this property, who were closed down in 2024 by the Cuyahoga County Department of Health, deserve to avoid timely legal accountability? We pass our ordinances every council meeting declaring the ordinance to be an emergency measure immediately necessary for the public peace, health, safety, and welfare. If the blighted property does not deserve a similar declaration and attention, no others do. Taft Park, since last council meeting, I asked BPD to check on after-hours activity at Taft Park once. I would like to suggest that the city refrain from further snow plowing the Taft Park main asphalt parking lot, which only encourages illegal after-hours use. It would also free up staff labor, save gas, and wear and tear on service department equipment. There is sufficient parking available at the smaller front lot, which is sufficient visitor capacity for winter recreation activity during the winter months. Thank you, and a report.
Thank you. Mr. Fluharty.
Bedford's Historical Society is putting on a celebrity roast for Bedford's own and Cleveland's own Tim Taylor, former News Channel 5 or 8. He was on 5 too, believe it or not, and Fox 8. And to get tickets, you could go on the website at Sherwood Forest Party Center on Tinkers Creek Road, or go to Fox 8 website. I'm sure it's on there too. And I also have a box here you can scan if you're here to put up some more information on your phone. You can come up afterwards and scan the little box. It's $100 per person. It's March 29th, which is a Saturday night, and tickets are flying out. The people down at Fox 8, they're really selling tickets like crazy. And we already mentioned at last meeting some of the stars that are going to be there, celebrities. But I'll go down real quickly. You got Robin Swoboda, Denise DeFallo, Carl Monday, John Rinaldi, which is Little John from Houlihan Big Chuck, Sandy Lesko, Lori Vick, John Tellix, Jimmy Malone, and our own Bob Reed. He'll be there too, doing the roast, and a couple others, David Moss. All proceeds go to the Bedford Historical Society, so come get your tickets. They're going fast, and they're going to be out of them pretty soon. So, end of report.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Good evening. I want to reiterate is Ward 4 board meetings. If anyone is watching, all of the residents that live in my ward, please come. Get the information. Some people say they've never met me, but I'm everywhere. So I don't see how, but if you have not met me, please come to that. Lots of times I'm at the senior luncheon, so don't want to come to the board meeting, stop at the senior luncheon, and we can sit down and talk, discuss some of your issues that you might want to talk to me about in the report.
Thank you. Mr. Esbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're not that old, right? No, you're a guest, not a member.
Actually, I am.
I'll be in a couple months.
Okay.
For those of you that remember almost 50 years ago, 49 years ago, 1976, we had our bicentennial, the country's bicentennial. For those of you that were in Bedford, we had a lot of things going on that summer. I was a fifth grader at Central Elementary, and we had some really cool things that we did. So what we did is next year is our 250th anniversary, which they're calling quarter millennial, which I guess is not, it's right. But we just put together a group tonight, and we're going to put some things together for the city. Stan and Mr. Longino and myself, we will be working with the Recreation Department. I'm sure we'll be reaching out to some of the civic organizations. I would imagine we'll be reaching out to the school system, and we're gonna party like it's 1776. So stay tuned for that. Once we have our first initial couple meetings, I'm sure we'll reach out to the public also for some, if you got some old pictures, some remembrances, things that we did. I shared one thing, I was in the Fife and Drum Corps, I played the fife, and we got to go to Hopkins Airport to meet the Duke and Duchess of Bedford, England. They came over. So it was kind of neat. So I think this is gonna be a really good thing. Mike, saw him yesterday, they went up, there's some signs, forfeiture, like a federal forfeiture sale sign, or was it 2022 McLaren that was offered? The auction was yesterday. At the bottom of the sign, it says signs will be removed as soon as the auction's over. But I drove by on my way home, they were still up today. East Grace, in front of Ramito, and across the street at Walgreens on Broadway. I don't know who put them up, who ran the auction, but they need to come down. Mike had mentioned the Recreation Department Spring and Summer Guide that came out. It also has a calendar of a couple of the events that are already listed on the square. I didn't write them down, I don't have it in front of me, but that'll be your homework. Check the guide and see what dates the rib burn off is, and what, something else was listed. Strawberry Festival. So you can get the dates for those and plan accordingly. The weather, I want to talk about the weather. It's supposed to be close to 60 tomorrow and sunny. Get out, enjoy it, get some sun. We've been deprived all, like for 3-4 months now. Get out, open your windows up, enjoy the day. Rainy on Wednesday, also close to 60 though. But what that means is that spring is really close. I don't like that little groundhog from Pennsylvania, but he was pretty close to accurate this year. I think we're working on 5 weeks of his 6-week, whatever the heck he said. Time change also. This Sunday evening, 2 a.m., it turns to 3 a.m., which is also a good time to check on your batteries and your smoke detector. Make sure they're working properly. If not, please replace them. Fires are, we know they're not a good thing. Sometimes the after effects can be preventable if you have working fire smoke alarms. And then I've got just a couple personal birthdays that I want to mention. 92 years ago today, my mom was born. She was born 3/3/33. Unfortunately, she left us in 2009. So, happy birthday, Mom. My son Sean, his birthday is 3/7, March 7th, and my wife Kelly, March 8th. I got it written down right in front of me. March 7th and March 8th respectively. So, happy birthday to them. Thank you. And a report.
Thank you. Mr. Longino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got 2 Marches too. I got my daughter March 11th and my son March 28th. So I got a couple Marches too. Hello, everyone. Mike kind of stole a little bit of my thunder because I wanted to talk about this great book, but I'll still talk about it because this book is great. So I said to myself, it's going to be something I keep. So if somebody asks me a question, I can always just go right to it myself. But the book is great. I looked through it a few times and answered a few questions that I didn't know myself. So I said, hold on to it, or give me a call and I'll open it up and answer the question as well. As Jeff was talking about, summertime, excuse me, I'm jumping ahead. Springtime is coming. And I was looking at my yard and I was like, wow, look at my yard. So we get ahead and start cleaning up our yard, make sure our yards look nice. You know, it's always good to have your yard looks nice, your neighbor's yard looks nice, and you know, if you got those people that need some help with their yard, go ahead. If you're able, go ahead and do it if you can. I want to thank the service department on hopefully we are done with the snow when we won't have to deal with that. I want to thank the service department. I had someone ask me about why the street wasn't plowed, and I said, the street is plowed. I said, maybe not as much salt on it as you wanted because this is one of those years, and as Mike said, you know, we were having issues with salt, but hopefully we're blessed in the summer. It'll be coming soon, and we'll be, you know, doing the things we're supposed to do. People, please take your garbage cans in. I'm telling you, always saying it. Please take your garbage cans in, you know, after you finish.
I want to talk about the high school, the basketball team. They lost Saturday, and I think it was the final of the district. They lost the basketball team, but this coming Saturday is the as those that didn't know, I'm a high school track official, so I'll be at the state indoor track meet, and Bedford will have someone. They will have people running there. They will have girl and boys teams there running. So good luck to Bedford track team. Out in Spire, out in Geneva, Ohio. That's where they'll be running at. Looking forward to, in 2 years, the 250th anniversary of the country. I remember back in 1976, it was always on I remember the commercials would say bicentennial moment. And every commercial, they would have something to talk about. You know, I was talking to Frank, we talked about some of the things that we can see. Hopefully the schools will be very much involved with that when that time comes. I'm sure there's things I forgot to say, and I'm not going to keep talking, so I'm going to yield my time.
Thank you. And with that, let's get on with business. Ordinance number 24-25.
Amending ordinance number 062-24, making additional appropriations for current expenditures of the city of Bedford during the year 2025 and declaring an emergency.
Motion for suspension by Longino, second by Asbury. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Fluharty, second by Spinks. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the first appropriation ordinance of 2025. This is to carry over the budgets from last year, as well as new grants from last year, and the projects that were approved this year by ordinance are included in this for approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-25.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Southeastern Equipment Company for the purchase of a 2024 Cobalt mini excavator model SK45 SRX-7 for the water department and declaring an emergency.
Motion for suspension by Smith, second by Asbury. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Fluharty, second by Spinks. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a piece of equipment, the mini excavator that we budgeted for in 2025 for the water department. Southeastern Equipment Company is a member of Sourcewell. They did provide the Sourcewell contract number, which provides the state purchasing price for the equipment. Total is $86,000. That also includes all of the attachments and hydraulic equipment needed.
Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
Ordinance number 26-25.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District to provide technical assistance for the MS4 storm permit renewal with the Ohio EPA and declaring an emergency.
Motion for suspension by Spinks, second by Fluharty. Call the roll, please.
Oh, I do have to call it. I'm sorry. Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Longino?
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Asbury, by Longino. Mike,
Thank you.
explain what all that means.
Yes. The MOU with the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District, it basically allows us to partner with them, and they will provide technical assistance in a number of different ways. First and foremost, they're gonna be working with us on our MCM4 permit. We did have the Ohio EPA come out last year. They did identify a few items that are in need of modifications, some being ordinances, some being our annual inspections of outfalls, etc. I will say that there are a number of items involved in the MOU that the city's never done. We've never had a program like this, and it's something that needs to be put in place. They will also, in addition to all of the inspections and technical assistance with our outfalls, they'll also be assisting with the stormwater pollution prevention, erosion, sediment control, post-construction inspections and guidance for property owners for large commercial projects, as well as assisting the administration and council with modifying ordinances that are currently out of date.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks? Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Lundino?
Yes.
Ordinance number 27-25.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Carpet Country for the replacement of the carpeting in the fire department and declaring an emergency.
It's our wish to put that on first reading. I have a motion for such by Fluharty, second by Spinks. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Salvi?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Lundino?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak, please come forward, state your name, your address, and your comment.
Good evening, Council. I'd like to talk about the property located in Northfield and Columbus Roads.
Name and address for...
Sure. John Slavic, S-L-A-V-I-K. I live on Helper Drive, 608 Helper Drive. And my property the rear of my property joins the commercial properties on the corner. And I've been a resident at that location for over 25 years, and I've seen a lot of recent degradation going on. The landlord apparently does not put a lot of emphasis on things that matter to those residents. And it's the worst it's ever been. It is riddled with trash, overrun with just landscaping issues, basic maintenance needs that are just so simple to take care of and just neglected. It almost looks like it's a condemned property, to be honest. And recently, for whatever reason, the tenant had moved out. It's a multi-occupancy building, and it seemed like that was the only tenant that kept the landlord with cash flow. So now that it's been vacant for quite a spell now, it is definitely showing signs of need of help. This is right on the edge of the parade route where the 4th of July parade goes. It's very disappointing, very disappointing. One of the requirements is they have a fenced-in area for the dumpster, for trash removal. And for years, the dumpster's been outside of the bin. And if you look inside the bin, which is approximately 4 to 5 feet tall, it is at least 2/3 full of rubbish. It's impossible to put the bin back in. It's the simple things in life. A lot of lighting is very much substandard. For the last 15 years, I put a large light on the back of my garage, which shines light, 50% of the light, at least into the alleyway behind. Because it is so dark, it's like, what would you call it? Almost reminds you of something out of a horror movie. It's so unlit, best way I can put it. People could constantly come back there, and because of the dumpster, a lot of times I'll see cars go by there, and they'll dump off their trash. They look around, oh, nobody's looking, go in their trunk, they're putting trash in the bin area that has no dumpster and things like that. It's just totally unattended. I invite you to to cruise by and just look, and you'll see that this is not what Bedford should look like. If this was in downtown Bedford, it'd be immediately addressed. And I just think of the area business owners, recently the Sunoco station, just south of that location, on Route 8, I'm sure they spent well over $1 million putting in a beautiful renovation of a gas station. I'm sure everyone's proud of that. It's a land of concrete. And things like that. It just doesn't match, best way to put it. So I just wanted to express my concerns, where we're going with this in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Louise Novak. I live at 1252 Broadway. And I have a couple questions concerning the Masetta property that apparently council is thinking of striking a deal with them to purchase that. Are there any plans for, if that does go through and you purchase that property, what would be done with that building or the property there?
Well, part of it, because of our renovations we're doing on the square, that building became more attractive to the city to get something that would complement the area. And so we have a chance, we haven't okayed it yet, but to get the property and control what can go in there. It's not that we want to create another city building as such, but we want to get something in there that will complement our commons area and all the new renovation we're gonna be doing down there.
Okay, I do understand that concept, however, I'm a little bit leery about now. We have a hospital building that I understand now belongs to the city of Bedford, and now we're at a point where, well, what's gonna go in this building? And everybody come to the meeting and discuss that, and that's fine. My feeling is, why don't we take one step at a time and get one property all squared away and settled? And then I was also, and you hear a lot of rumors too. I was also, well, yeah, you know that.
No.
Yeah, really. I repeated something I heard and got into big trouble, and I just repeated it because I heard it from someone. But anyways, tell me if this is true. My understanding is somebody wanted to purchase the Masetta property and had the money to do it. Like right now, it was worth $500,000, and the zoning commission turned it down. Which leads me to believe that, I hate to say this, but now the city's gonna buy it, and you could, in effect, turn around and resell it to somebody? And is that like a legal thing to do?
Yes.
I'll answer. So the reason that the interested party was turned down was technically, if the city, by following the ordinances that are in place, they didn't have the adequate number of spaces for the use they wanted to put in there.
Okay.
That was the reason why it was shut down, solely.
Okay,
They would have needed to go get a variance, and if they went to get a variance in the BZA, which is a board of just the public, none of us sit on that board. If the BZA had approved it and ultimately it came to council and they were granted that variance, they could have gone through the process in that manner. But if the city is following the ordinances, if city council technically was following the ordinances, they were violating the ordinances that were in place to put the use that they wanted there.
okay,
They had no parking. And knowing that the city was removing 45 parking spaces,
okay,
it wouldn't have been the right approach to approve something knowing it was in direct violation of the city ordinances. Could they have gone through and reapplied? They could have done that.
okay,
They chose not to do that.
okay.
I think and I don't want to speak for city council, but as far as complimenting something on the square, that's part of the reason. The other reason is the facility's 104 years old. there's a historic component to that. And viewing it as in a perfect, you know, do you just go and you acquire properties? No, we don't look at that. But we also look at, you know, is there a responsibility to really preserve the integrity of our commons? And if it was acquired, it would not be resold. The city would maintain ownership, and we would look for an end user, be it, and again, any end user would have to go out and they would have to follow the ordinances. If it would mean having to go to BZA, that would be fine. They would have to do that, but we would maintain ownership of that.
Okay.
What we would do in the short term is we would provide that space for the public, be it civic organization meetings, events, government entity meetings, senior club events, or programs to the community center in the short term to make sure the structure's occupied. But in the long term, we would most likely issue a request for proposals for a use that would complement the downtown. But I think it is, if we would acquire, if the city chose to acquire it, it would not go up for resale at all. It is the understanding that we would preserve ownership of that 104-year-old building.
Well, that's,
So those are,
right, okay,
Yeah.
so that's kind of like my main concern is, I know that building is I didn't know if it was 103 or 104 years old, like you said. And I'd hate to see that building come down. You know, I think that is part of our history, and like to keep it that way. Like, I don't want to see it come down and then a parking lot be made. But I personally think that as a citizen, maybe we just need to, not me, but all of you, need to think it all through and before we start making any moves. You know, you hate to see something just sit there for God knows how long, and it becomes a problem and a nuisance. Like with the moon glow, so the city purchased that property, correct? And a restaurant was supposedly, or that's the rumor.
I can address the rumors too, if you'd like.
So it's like the property is sitting there and there's grass planted there, and the grass is cut, but that was a historic building too. I mean, it looked horrible, but.
Were you in it?
Oh, no, I wasn't in it.
When
When I was a little kid, it was a pizza shop.
That structure was condemned.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that is a structure that would, you know,
Well, I
don't
would
wanna-
never go in there.
Let's not compare the moon glow to the structure that the city is,
Yeah.
two different items. And yes,
I know that, but,
we
you
did
know.
have entity that owned two restaurants. One was in Lakewood, the second one was in Ohio City. He actually toured that site. It was in the fall of 2019, and obviously that ended in 2020 with the pandemic.
Oh, right.
So we were actively seeking
Okay.
interested parties for that.
Okay.
I think things have now changed. We are not actively pushing that with the decision to donate the 6 acres to the Metro Parks, who are now expanding Viaduct Park. They're putting in a Four Seasons facility in the coming years for the public. So do those things happen as quickly as any of us would have liked? I don't know. But just like that property, we had an opportunity to get that property. I think the city had to waive $40,000 or $50,000 in unpaid water. But we acquired those 11 acres, and now we're gonna have something that the entire community will be able to enjoy, and that it could spur something further down Taylor
Yeah.
towards the Moonglow site. So
Okay.
I'm impatient. I would like things to happen a lot sooner, but it's also looking at the timing of when could you acquire something. You know, if you're looking at something now, that might not be available in 9 months or a year and a half.
I get
And
it.
that's the balancing act. In a
Yeah.
perfect world, does timing line up? No, you know.
Maybe I'm
But-
over anxious because I don't have that much time left, you know. You start to get old and you feel like, well, and Stan's shaking. But thank you for hearing my questions and answering my questions.
Call me anytime with rumors.
Yeah, I know.
time to listen to his concerns, but I didn't hear any feedback. And we seem to be acquiring a number of derelict buildings in Bedford. So I would like, I know that the 18th is designated to talk about Bedford Hospital, but if you could at least provide the cliff notes as to how we happen to end up owning the hospital, and if indeed council and our leaders see that as a positive move.
I think it is absolutely a positive move, as far as taking ownership of that. I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to jump in. If you want to follow up with the first gentleman, I will say I've taken note of that, and like I do, I'll follow up with the building department. I'll see if there's already existing orders on that structure, and if there is, there could be orders, but if not, they'll be up there and we'll perform a full inspection, and then get orders on it and go through that process, so.
It's good to know because Councilman Selby mentioned that in his report. So it suggests to us that there's an awareness, and we're not coming here to just say something. We want some feedback. Is what the plan is. So thank you for that. So hopefully something will come of that. Again, now, if you could kind of give us the cliff notes on Bedford Hospital, we'd appreciate it. Because I share Ms. Novak's concern that, before we have property and then say, well, we've got the property, now let's have a meeting and see what we want to do about it. What would we like to have in there? Because it is out there on the media that, fortunately, what was the descriptor? Bedford is a predominantly minority, economically challenged, elderly community. Now, those three monikers are not really an incentive for investment. So I hope you have some good ideas. I'd like to know, I know that the paper said that the city received $2 million, but it seems like it'll take that plus some money to tear it down. What do you see as the advantage of it?
One, first thing, I would just contradict. I don't know if I would view all of those items as not a reason to invest, those 3 bullet points, but.
Well, those were the 3 points that were given to keep the hospital open. And I've got to manage that those were the 3 reasons that UH said, yeah, that's why we're closing.
No. But that is not that I would just contradict that those aren't reasons to reinvest. Right. I would read those to yourself and think about that. So I just want to say that we don't agree with that.
Reasons to reinvest, but go ahead.
The other piece is, obviously there's a value as far as controlling that site. And from the start, we set out that we wanted to try to bring back healthcare, form of healthcare, to that facility. UH was not going to do that. There is a necessity to reestablish some type of care, be it an emergency room care, 24-hour care. We need to do our best to reestablish that. It has a profound effect on our residents. It has a profound effect on the people in our police and specifically our fire department and our EMS as far as response times, how we have the turnaround time when we're sitting at other area hospitals. I'll share some very quick data with you. To go over and turn a patient over to, meaning the turnaround time. The minute our EMS staff can provide those patients to the hospital to where they're back in service, it is approaching 25 minutes at Ahuja. It's about 19 minutes at South Point, and it's about 15 minutes at Marymount. Bedford Hospital was 4 minutes. So when our staff or any other staff are sitting out at those hospitals, what does that do when other calls come in? Now we have to rely on mutual aid. And then when that city's helping us, who's helping that city? So we have a responsibility to try to figure out a way to address that. UH was not going to reestablish that facility. I will come out and say it now. The reason that we really chose to litigate with them was because they made it clear that the property was going up for sale and it was going to be restricted to non-medical use. Number one, that's illegal. But two, we challenged them on that. That's just not right. In our, you can't do that. So we look at it and theoretically, could it be sold to a developer and put 50 homes there? Yeah, it could have happened. That would not have been the best use for the community. And as we litigated that and worked through that, a substantial part of that hospital was damaged through vandalism. It was flooded. Most likely is going to have to come down. The city did submit application to the state of Ohio for a substantial amount of money. We were fortunate enough to where the county executive ranked us number 2 as his priority to get that funding. So to have space, the medical office building will still be used. UH is still going to have a presence there. How long that presence is, I can't guarantee that. But there's a value in control. And at least we have some tools in front of us, and we have the support from the county that we can do our best to try to get another entity in there to provide some form of medical service to our community. And if not, if we strike out with everybody that we're going after, then we're gonna look at, okay, what are other things that the community, does the community want all housing? Would you want all single family homes? Do you want some retail? That's what this meeting's for. But there's a value in the control there. And that was the primary reason, one, why we litigated it. Two, the reason why we came to, and you're right, the settlement agreement is the entire campus is going to be turned over to the city with zero zoning, or I'm sorry, not zoning, zero deed restrictions, which means we have a fighting chance to get another entity in here to provide a service, ideally an ER service or some form of 24-hour service where if someone is having chest pains, they can get there and it has a lab and they can get checked out and not have to rely on going wherever. I mean, there is a need for that. There's interest already on the outpatient surgery center. I can't get into what that use is right now. If there's a deal that can be had and we're going to try to do that, I think everybody up in the dais here would tell you this would be an absolute home run as kind of the first step. But are we all very happy with the outcome? 100%. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I would say it's pretty close to unanimous that we reached, I think, step 1, and it's finalizing the litigation with University Hospital, having full control of the site, having some monetary damages as far as the $2.1 million, having a site that has no deed restrictions. Now it's okay, step 2. And step 2 is we need to get something over there.
And do you have a time frame in mind?
We had an RFP that was released today.
What's an RFP?
An RFP is a request for proposals. That information is being distributed to other healthcare providers, other people in the healthcare industry, as well as major developers.
Well, I wouldn't argue that healthcare is needed, but when you look around, historically, when they tried to save St. Michael's or even Lakewood Hospital, those have been largely unsuccessful. What do we have?
I will tell you, one, we have a clean site. This cannot be compared to Lakewood. Lakewood was an environmental contaminated site. They operated a full laundromat, laundry service, dry cleaning services in that hospital. That is why that space sat vacant for well over a decade. We did the due diligence, we did environmental, we did phase 1, phase 2, we did boring samples at every location. It is a clean site. It'll be a green field. As far as the vacant, all the vacant land, and even the main portion of the hospital, should it come down, it is clean, ready to be developed. So this is on 2 different playing fields when you refer to Lakewood Hospital and this. I will say Lakewood was able to secure another form of a healthcare piece component that was reestablished in Lakewood. So although I'll be the first to say it is not going to be a full service main campus hospital. That's not going to happen. But is there some space that would be good from an economic standpoint as far as income tax and funding, great, but more importantly, services for the community. I think the city council puts those things above all else.
All right, and will you pledge to maintain the property? Because we've got enough things that don't look good in this town.
Well, I will say, I would argue that anything that we own, I think looks pretty good. We hold ourselves to, I think, higher standards, at least, we make a very strong point to do so, and it'll be ours. It's not ours yet. But part of the agreement is, once that hospital is decommissioned and turned over to the city, UH continues to have to maintain the grounds for a certain period of time, after which point we will then take ownership of that. As far as cutting the grass, doing all that, walks in the wintertime, all of those will be maintained. UH is maintaining the medical office building as far as tenant, if you would say, to the city for a 5-year period. During that 5-year period, it's a full triple net lease. They're responsible for all maintenance, all upkeep, all repairs, all maintenance exterior, parking lot, grass, all of that. For that piece. The rest, that would fall on us, and we'll absolutely maintain that like we do our other properties. And if it ever isn't, come back up here and call me a liar.
All right, and in closing, I would just ask, although I do understand, I think, that it wasn't meant in a derogatory fashion, but it is hard for the residents of this town to be painted with such a broad stroke of predominantly minority, economically challenged elderly community.
Kathy Williams, 491 Lamson. Our building department, is it reactive or proactive? Does an inspector go through the city to see the trash? The 3-week-old garbage can on Lamson? Do they drive by? Do they?
We drive by, I will say we have two inspectors. I'm not gonna lie and say they catch everything. If there's ever any, contact us. If there's something that's there, and we've spoke, and I think a number of those items are working to get, that didn't go in what
No, Mikey, 3 weeks it's been out there.
As far as all the other homes on Lamson, did we spoke? I told you about all the orders that were issued on all of those? So you're referring to a garbage can law. But I can't, when the city issues an order, it doesn't mean it has to happen the next day. Sometimes we're required to.
3 weeks it's been out.
But understand, like for the vehicle that we spoke about.
Oh.
Or the trash on the side of a certain landlord's home.
That went in the back of their pickup truck.
But my point is, we issue the orders, they get a first notice, we're required to send a second notice, and then we're also required to send a third notice before we can cite them. I've said I'm impatient, like those things drive me crazy, but we can't issue a citation the very first crack, we can't.
So they do have weeks before, if they don't want to. If they do, mazel tov, but if they don't want to, you're talking weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's
unfortunate.
Those are the rules we have to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second
I'll look at
question.
the cans again, but all of those ones, and we spoke, I told you, all those homes,
Yeah.
and that was within a couple days that we issued orders on all those homes.
Yeah, like I said.
Right, but then there's a reinspection, second notice is issued, and following the third is when we can issue the citation. I
Okay.
wish we could cite right away and get them up in court. Unfortunately, we
Doesn't
can't.
happen.
We're not allowed to do that.
Okay. Second question. The hospital building, the main hospital building, when was that built?
The high rise?
The original.
1925, I believe, somewhere around that.
1928.
Is there asbestos in that building?
Yeah, we had a full asbestos survey. Part of the state program, there has to be some remediation that would need to be required in order to really qualify. So we had an asbestos survey done. it identified it, so it triggered our application, or triggered our ability to apply for the state brownfield money. The last round was up to $10 million per project. Excuse me, this round it was reduced to 2.5 million per project, so we went for the max, which would cover the full takedown of, technically it could be everything except the medical office building. I don't think all of that would come down, but that does include asbestos remediation.
And we would have to pay for that out of the grant?
It would be funded by the grant, yeah.
Grant, okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Robert Tansing, 319 Marion Drive. I'm just curious as to the status of the former Chanel High School property. I think there's been some talk of Cuyahoga County gonna put some facility in there. The middle school was a sign up about the new middle school, but that sign was torn down.
It's going there.
The middle
The
school?
school board announced that they will be breaking ground this year for the middle school.
Oh, okay.
And I think an elementary, I think is planned to break ground this year.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay, I think, matter of fact, we got a report from the schools right here.
Yeah, I think the elementary would go on the Heskett site. The middle school is scheduled to break ground this year on the St. Peter Chanel site. They were scheduled to go in front of the planning commission last month, but they pulled their application. They were making minor adjustments to that. We expect that proposal to come to planning commission probably in April. So it'll go in front of planning commission, they'll review it, and then their recommendation will come to city council for the official approval. But they did provide renderings.
Yes.
That's it.
It's in their newsletter. They expect to break ground sometime in May of 2025.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, can I have a motion for adjournment? Fluharty, second by Spinks. Call the roll, please.
Cochi,
Yes.
Spinks. Yes. Salvi,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Pangino.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming.